time for more server work. Focus of the video is going to be on this, but I figured before that we will take a quick detour and look at this thing. This is my NTP server. And if I remember right, this is the system that when I put it together, it had no I/O shield. So now we're going to add an I/O shield. Okay, here's the inside. I haven't seen this in a while. This is actually an Asus P8B75-M corporate stable model. I thought that this was my PAQ77 and was curious when I put an i7 on it as opposed to the i5-3570 that I know was on that other case. But I guess now I know. It's not the same board. But what I have to do here, this power supply is a little overkill, but I'll leave it alone for the time being. It's got a mechanical hard drive. Kind of surprised to see that. I thought I would have put an SSD in here, but I guess I didn't have an SSD at the time. And really, I still don't, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull these cards out, and then I'm going to have to unscrew the board, push it back so I can put this I/O plate into place, which is actually an I/O plate from one of those Q87M boards that I've just blocked off the DisplayPort connection on. And I hope that it's going to line up. Okay, went ahead and put that in the case now. Let's see if the board lines up. Here we go. Look at that. Fits like a glove. It's like the one thing that Asus has done right over the years. It even matches up in terms of where the USB 3.0 are. That electrical tape looks kind of dumb right there, but there's not much that I can really do about that. I don't want that gaping hole where the DisplayPort would be if this had DisplayPort, because it doesn't have DisplayPort. So now I just got to put this back. Okay, power up time. Let's see if I broke it. Well, not totally. There it is. So, let's move on with the real subject of the video here. Here is that server now. Nice. You can see I've got a couple of virtual machines, basically everything having to do with the security cameras running on here right now. The system was hastily thrown together without really much in the way of thought. So it's got an Intel DQ77MK motherboard, a Core i7-3770, 16 gigs of whatever random memory I happen to have laying around, a 40 gigabyte boot drive, and a 500 gigabyte data drive. This case is a little limited. There are basically just the two 3.5-inch bays, so if I wanted to add more hard drives, I'd have to use these 5.25 bays with adapters, because there's also no screw holes. That motherboard, although it's actually perfect for this, because it's got two Ethernet controllers on it, really isn't good for what I've got here, because you'll notice that it's this machine right here, and I can't actually switch to it, because there's no PS2 port, and the motherboard didn't recognize my USB to PS2 adapter. So I just have the VGA plugged in, and if you just have the VGA plugged in, this isn't going to work. It's the same problem that I'm actually having with the Dell down there. But one diatribe at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing out. And what I brought over here is this. This is that Sony Vaio case. Not a great case by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got 4 hard drive bays. I've added a couple extra drives, and I'm going to replace the motherboard with this. No, it's not what you think it is. Or maybe it is what you think it is. Yes, it's another one of these. But the reason why I have this one is because the onboard Ethernet doesn't work. So for that, I actually have, sitting around here somewhere, here it is, for this dual gigabit Ethernet adapter. And I think that'll work nicely. So here's what we've got in this case. I forgot I owned this. It's not 80 plus certified or anything, but it'll have to do for now because I don't feel like pulling it out. I don't feel like using the one that's in there. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'll end up buying another like 400 or 350 watt power supply brand new that maybe has got some 80 plus gold certification and using that instead. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like I've actually got enough screws to mount the motherboard, so that's good. I'm missing the two on the end there, but I don't really need those. And I'm going to come up with 2 more screws for the power supply. I guess they're going to come from that thing over there, because I don't have any screws over here. Oops. So these 2 drives on the top are going to come out, because they're for another project. They're just here because it was convenient to transport them in here. Well, this is shaping up to be a disaster. What do I mean by this? Well, you'll notice, no I/O shield. I don't know if there's something wrong with the I/O plate I got with this board, or if there's something wrong with the case, but that I/O shield would not go into place. And I fought with that. I even used a hammer, and it still didn't work. So I had enough of that and just put it away. And maybe when I replace this case, because I probably will replace this case with something a little nicer, then I'll go ahead and I'll take a look at that. But other things that might be a disaster. Look at this. I have a strong feeling that that's going to actually short out or not work because the card can't go all the way into the slot. I'm going to try it anyway, because if it doesn't work, then I don't know what I'm going to do as far as figuring it out. But I got everything else cabled up. I plugged these 2 drives in, even though they're not going to actually be plugged into the system because they're IDE drives, just to get that cable out of the way. And speaking of cables to get out of the way, I'm going to have to hook up the serial ATA. I'm not going to hook up those 2 drives up there because they're not actually going to be used in this system. So, but I'll hook this the rest of the way up. Actually, I think I'll remove those 2 drives and then we'll move on. Okay. Why didn't it turn on? Okay. Well, a couple of things that are going on here. It's posting, so that's a good sign. There's the 2 Intel boot agents for that there. That battery's dead, and it's not seeing my keyboard for whatever reason. I don't know why. Okay. Put in a battery. Hope the battery's good. I don't actually know. The fan is spinning now. It's making an irritating grinding noise, but it's spinning. So now I just got to take these 2 drives out and put the drives from the existing system in. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come over here, come up here, select shut down. And we should be able to come back over here. And watch this power itself off. Eventually. Hopefully. Probably should have shut off the VMs that were on it, but I'm pretty sure that it will turn itself off, or it will turn the VMs off on its own. Wish I could view the screen, but I can't, because the KVM won't let me. Okay, finally powered it off, or it finally powered off. So this is the system, and it's actually got a fairly nice power supply in it. I didn't realize it had one of these. So I'm going to pull this power supply out and swap them. Put this power supply in there, take that Cooler Master supply, put it here. Okay. I just want to make sure that the drives all show up. I'm going to put it back where it needs to go. Then we'll power it on and see how the system works. Okay, enter advanced mode. SATA configuration. Yeah, everything is as it needs to be. 3 500s and the 40. Let's put it in the rack. Okay, after having to adjust this rack, because apparently this case is taller, as you can see, by like half of a freaking inch. Hopefully nothing in the rack crashed. Because I had to wail on that with I don't even know where it went. Yeah, there it is. Freaking rubber mallet. Oh, great. It's booting to the wrong drive. Okay, I noticed it got a lot slower now that I've put it in here. Don't know what's up with that. It's gotten a lot slower. Almost would make you think there's something wrong with it. And there probably is. There's always something wrong with these boards. I don't understand why they're so broken. Let's see if it boots now to the correct drive. No, of course not. Okay, let's see the boots now. This is like the 6th change that I've made. And every time I gotta sit here and wait for it to repost. Should have just left the old one in place. It was working just fine. There was nothing wrong with it. Just that I couldn't use my KVM with it. Should have just bought a new PS2 to USB adapter that actually worked. See if it'll boot without intervention. I've turned the UEFI on. Because apparently, I have discovered that it installed in UEFI mode. I don't think it did. So I don't know what the hell that's all about, but here we are. And yes, I did flick the switch off. I got tired of waiting for it. So it'll come back online. I'll have to redo the IP addresses and everything else, but I just wanted to boot first. Okay. So we got some more work to do, obviously, because our network interfaces will have changed. So I believe I need to come in here. Because, yeah, there is no ENO1 anymore. So let me see if I can figure this out. Okay. Here it is, running now. Here you can see 4770. So I'll have to configure the new drives, but I think I'll do that later. That's pretty much it for that. So I've done the transfer. It's over here now. Thank you for watching. If you've got any comments, feel free to leave them below.